Okay, so I'll call to order the Utility Commission meeting for Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. I see we have a quorum, and a roll call visually is okay.
Sure. Hackle?
Here.
Rogers?
Here.
Russell?
Here.
Stoa?
Here.
Williams? Here. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Public appearances, I don't see any, so we'll move on. Number 4, old business, update on the meter at the church on North Main Street.
Nothing really new to report there. We have spent quite a, not quite a bit of time, but enough time there to realize that there's no simple solution there, right? That's where we've kind of, we've got, at least got to there. We do have a guy that tests our meters that I'm most likely gonna bring there that has an ultrasonic tester that we can run some water in some various spots to potentially find a location that will capture the water use. The only real other option is to put some kind of meter vault in, it's on their property for the, and house it in a pit, which again, this climate is not conducive to doing that. But I mean and it's a confined space, and it's something I don't want any part of, but there's no great solution there. But I do want to bring this gentleman in the next time he's in town to do our stuff, and have him just kind of take a peek at what's going on there. Maybe there is it's an old church. There's pipes kind of going everywhere, right? So we did confirm where it comes into the building, and there's certainly no great option there without ripping up a whole bunch of floor. But I still think there might be an option, and it's just one of those things where I'm kind of waiting for him to be in town to make it kind of cost effective, to just, when he's here, running around, we're just gonna have him stop there, kind of take a quick peek, and then kind of go from there.
And this all started because the DNR said something, or how
no.
did this thing start rolling down the hill?
Basically, they don't, they're one of I believe they're one of two accounts that does not have an actual meter.
Right.
So they're just getting a bulk a flat rate charge, which is just an estimate on the utility's part, So the PSC does want every connection to be metered. So that's kind of why we're at where we're at today. We're trying to, not put too much burden on the church, but ultimately it's obvious it's gonna end up being a big burden on the church because we're not finding a great solution. But this is kind of our last resort. Bring this guy in, he'll take a quick peek. Maybe we can find one of these pipes that captures the bathroom, the kitchen, the outside water, and then we can say, oh, here's your pipe, use this. Have a plumber come in, make this connection, we're good to go.
Okay. And hydride is, the meter would burn up, or I forget exactly what the reason.
Yes, but like JJ's brought that up, that it's in a very, very hot area where the meters, even if we had a bronze meter, the register is still plastic.
Yeah,
so
no, that's fine.
So it just kind of melts in that situation.
We're burdened to do this, whether we want to or not, right?
We have to do our due diligence, and that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of trying to do everything in our power to kind of, help them out.
And a flat rate isn't gonna be due diligence.
What's that?
Putting the rate they have now, which we estimated was under what they're actually using, that is not gonna be acceptable. JJ?
I'll just say what we did, because I don't remember when John came in and was involved in this. We just engaged with Trilogy to do our update of the water rates and impact fee study, and so we talked to them versus reaching out to the PSC. But basically, the guidance was you have to meter everything. We could reach out to PSC and ask, but then once they're aware,
Yeah, no, I don't.
then it might be more of a, hey, it's not on us to help them. Yeah, that's the risk. So we asked the consultant instead for some guidance.
Okay. Any other stuff? Anybody else want to add to this?
Do we know how long that flat rate has been charged to the church? And has that flat rate exceeded what potentially their monthly bill could have been? Would we be owing them money?
We'd have to ask the PSC for specific guidance on that. If it looked like, if they had an easy solution, put a meter in, and after a few billing cycles, they could see it actually went down, they could come back, but we are only obligated, Kristen, I don't know, I'm not gonna know off the top of my head, but I think it's only to go back, it's either 2 or 7 years that we'd have to go back, and it's been in place a lot longer than that. And likely, even if we did and could find a good amount, it wouldn't be a huge, I mean, I'm guessing they don't have a whole lot of water usage, and I don't believe their flat rate is all that high, so it's not gonna be a huge amount on our part either way.
Yeah, they have the food pantry that they use, and then the church on Sunday, and that's it. The only time they use a lot of water that I know of is because they have the community gardens,
Yes.
and I'm sure the water goes up there.
Well, and if after John's kind of last ditch effort here, if it doesn't show anything really easy and obvious, at that point, we might as well reach out to PSC and just say, hey, we've got a really unique case. Can we set a flat rate that we all agree is capturing, likely, then you just, I mean, maybe they offer one exception, or they find something that fits, it's already in the code, and they just say, yep, you call it this one. So, because then there's nothing to lose.
Because the original Nance was tore down 30-plus years ago, and from what I've learned from Jim is that was when the rest of the town went to meters, because they had no idea where the water was, they just set up what they thought a reasonable fee was. So, okay, enough on that one. We'll just keep banging our head on that one. New business, discuss and consider system fluoridation and grant award from the Department of Health Services. It's in the packet for everybody.
So yeah, we currently treat, we add fluoride to our water. It's what, what most municipalities do in our area and kind of all over the United States. Ultimately, we kind of just dumbed down to this grant, which worked out really well. We got a tip from another municipality. I talked to our DNR rep. We were able to apply for this. They were very eager for us to be a part of this based on some other things that were kind of happening. Basically, we just have some aging equipment that we just need to get upgraded. And this grant just basically culminates everything that has to do with almost everything that has to do with our fluoride system: pumps, injectors, piping, a scale, kind of everything that has to do with the fluoride side. It kind of encompasses that at all 3 of our well sites. So it's a great, it's a great way of kind of updating ourselves to 2023. So I think it's a great thing.
So the only question I had was, it says reimburse only for equipment approved. What about labor?
So not all, every bit of this is something we do in-house. So
So there's no secret labor coming back?
there is a little bit built into this, because there's our fluoride is mixed in with our chlorine in the same room at all of our sites. And part of this is to install like a fluoride venting system. That's done by a contractor, but that's built into this price.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Do we need a vote?
That's the one piece, the stipulation of this grant was that you agree to continue fluoride for at least 5 years, so that's why we have discuss and consider, essentially saying we'll continue.
Or should we make a motion?
Yes, please.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the grant that was awarded and to commit to 5 more years at minimum of fluorinization of the water.
Okay, good, Kristen? Okay, a second on that, please?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And no abstaining. Okay, that passes. Thank you. I think that's a great idea. And then the PFAF, my favorite one. Discuss and consider direction on PFAF class action settlement. And again, that's in the packet for everybody.
You want it, Rick, since you're
Sure.
here?
I can discuss it. So I'm Rick Manthe. I'm the village attorney. JJ invited me here tonight just to talk about this PFAS class action settlements that The village is a recognized class member. It hasn't done anything actively to be part of these lawsuits, but basically it serves enough people that they are recognized as somebody that would be included in these class action settlements. So basically what happened is a lot of water utilities across the United States have initiated lawsuits against 3M and DuPont for their role in contaminating water sources with PFAS. So I don't know if everybody's familiar with PFAS here, but like they're forever chemicals, right? And they've been linked with certain hazardous or some health conditions. So there are thousands of these types of chemicals. There are very few that we know much about at this point. But the village has been recognized as a class member, and 3M and DuPont have reached a settlement with some of these people that initiated these lawsuits. So basically 3M has a $10 to $12 million settlement with basically covering all of its liability across the United States for contaminating water sources, and DuPont has between a $1 and $2 billion settlement similarly. So the settlement themselves, what it would do is release 3M and DuPont from any and all liability in the future. It also would apply to any companies that they acquire in the future. So let's say like 3M were to acquire somebody that is also responsible for contamination. That company that they acquire would then also be let off the hook. So we have had discussions with staff here. The village has done some testing. It doesn't have detectable amounts of PFAS right now currently. JJ, is that correct?
Correct.
So the way that the settlement breaks down is if you have current levels of detection, you are a class 1 member, and you can submit claims to 3M, and they will pay out those claims for treatment that you have to do up to a certain level. So like there are estimates on what you would get back. It's not going to cover all of your treatment that you would have to do, but they will cover some of those costs. If you don't have any detectable amounts of PFAS, you're a class 2 member, which they will basically cover testing into the future. And if you discover PFAS at some point, you can then submit a claim and they will pay out depending on this formula that they've got. Again, it's not going to cover all of your costs, but it's meant to sort of reimburse you for future treatment costs. So internally, the discussion we had is if the village doesn't have any detectable amounts of PFAS in their wells right now, given the scope of the release for 3M and DuPont, the fact that you probably won't get any money out of this settlement if you stay in it, just because you don't have any detectable levels, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to stay in. But if you want to opt out of the lawsuit, there are very specific requirements that you have to do. So we need the action of the commission to say that it wants to opt out. And then we have to file notices with a whole lot of different entities that are involved in these lawsuits, just saying that we are opting out. That's sort of like the 30,000 foot level. I guess our recommendation is for the commission to opt out of these settlements because you're basically giving up a lot and not getting anything in return.
So opting out is easier than staying in, is what you're basically saying.
Yeah, the downside, I guess, is you're keeping your claims available against 3M and DuPont. If any, I don't know what claims you might have in the future. You're keeping your options open, but if, let's say we're sort of limited by testing right now. Obviously, there are thousands of compounds. We don't know the health effects of all of these compounds. There could be testing in the future that reveals other sources of PFAS. But the risk is if you opt out now and you decide in the future that you do want to pursue claims against 3M, the village has to initiate that on its own. Like there could be other water utilities that sue in the future and the village could join another class action at some point. But that's the risk basically is you would have to go to 3M directly in the future for any liability that they might have as it relates to the village, I should say.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we'll make a motion on this. I guess I'll try to make a motion. I'll make a motion to authorize the village attorney to proceed with opting out of the phase 2
Yeah, you can just say PFAS class action
Okay.
settlements. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have a motion. Could I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Any other discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And no abstaining. Thank you very much. Now we're down to 6, the engineer's report.
Yeah, not a whole lot to discuss this time of year. Let's talk about a few of the developments. Shady Grove subdivision is still out there. There's a lot of punch list items that still need to be done. Pavement, curb, handful of things. It's a little bit of a mess transportation-wise out there that we've been asking to get cleaned up and asking to get cleaned up. On the utility side, specifically for this commission, as you probably recall, they asked to extend some additional services and water services to some of those lots up front that border Cottage Grove Road. So they still have to dig in a bunch of those. They dug in a couple that they could easily attach and connect to existing sewer and water out there, but they also have to extend some sewer mains with some new manholes to get the rest of them, and that's gonna all happen in the spring. So they've done a little bit of work this fall. Majority of it will happen then in the spring to finish that up. As far as Authentics, right across the street here, the last we talked about that, we were crafting that 5-year warranty for that flatter section of sewer to make sure we monitored it both, yearly, where we would televise it, then flush it and televise it again, make sure it kind of stayed, unblocked. And if it has a blockage or it looks like it's building up, then they would have to go in and actually repair that. We've crafted the final language that came through this committee. They accepted it, but we haven't got them to sign anything officially yet. So it's been sitting in their court for a couple months. They also have some park costs that they are still, I would say, showing and negotiating with the village on did they expend all their park costs that they said they were going to. So a little bit of these final kind of agreement things here towards the end that we're still working out with them. They've been sort of silent on it, but we're gonna continue to ask for those things. West Lawn Estates, that one's moving smoothly. There's a little bit of concrete work that's still going down there yet this fall, curb, sidewalk. If the weather stays nice, we're hoping for some binder asphalt to go down in a couple weeks. Otherwise, there's no issues with that. It's moving kind of as planned. As far as just upcoming developments, I keep Project Silver Eagle on there just because it's gonna be there someday. We thought they were gonna take down some houses and clear and grub out there. The last time I checked, there hadn't been any of the clearing and grubbing done. I know they might be falling into a bad issue now with hibernation. So clearing and grubbing during certain parts of the year can't be done. So we're kind of waiting on that portion of it. The big side of it wasn't really gonna kick off until the spring. So 2 other just kind of utility projects for the village. On the Ridge Lift Station, we've recently met with staff again to discuss that, and we can continue to plan it. We agreed kind of on the area overall, some of the routing, talked about taking potentially Trillium offline as part of that over there for the Forston area development. And the next step is we have to meet with Hydrate. The logical location for the force main to go through to connect to the force main that's right down here on Main Street where it was left off would be going through Hydrate. So there's a meeting actually tomorrow with Hydrate staff to just talk about some of the existing easements through there. There's water and sewer that goes through there now. Whether we can fit it within some existing easements, whether we actually have recorded easements or not is a little bit under question because some of that's pretty old. So that meeting will take place to just understand some of the alignment that we could have through there. The goal would be to bring something back to this committee next month if we have a meeting or the month after to just discuss kind of where we are in the preliminary kind of routing of things, the Hydrate meeting, and just kind of like next steps for that station over there. I understand that the village in the past has had some interest in some development over there, and it sounds like, again, there's a little bit of interest over in that area of the community for development. So there still is that interest, and a lift station is going to be needed to serve that east side. Not just the general spot right there that's over there that we're looking at, but broadly in a larger sense. So it's good timing. And then lastly, SCADA updates. As you know, we've talked about this for a while. LW Allen came in, they do all the kind of SCADA infrastructure for the village. Those are the computers and the equipment that talks between the lift stations, the towers, the reservoirs, the wells, back to the central location at Public Works facility. Those are aging out. They came in with a proposal to kind of improve and to replace a lot of that. A lot of it required electrical work as portion of it. Rick and the attorneys mentioned that, bidding that is really the right thing to do as part of that. So we're working with staff and with LWLing to put a bid package together. About half of it's electrical work. The other half of it's the mechanics and the interfacing and all the instrumentation that LWLing would provide. So the goal still is for that within the next couple months to get that bid package ready, bid it early, I would say late winter, early spring, start kind of the construction side of it into next year. Probably would go into 25 too, because there's some generator work, and we all know that electrical stuff has been hard to get. For instance, the solar on top of, the Public Works building took forever to get everything in place to get that online. So we'll continue to update you month to month on how that process is going, and probably bring something back more formal once we're ready to bid to this committee just to present on.
All right, thanks. Questions? Any questions? Okay, so we'll go to number 7, Director's Report.
Well, hydrant flushing is about wrapped up. We're trying to get a few more, kind of loose ends, kind of buttoned up with that, kind of working with, the sweeper kind of went down, so we really don't like flushing when we got all kinds of leaves in the curb line, so we'd be kind of following them around town, and we just got the sweeper back today, so we're hoping to kind of button up a few more areas. We still got a bunch of, hopefully with our strong El Nino, we're hoping to get a bunch more sewer cleaning done yet and some televising done yet, kind of end of November, early December, which is still, realistic, and still hoping to get that done. We're obviously prepping for winter. We've had a few cold mornings, so we've been able to kind of find some heaters that are not currently working, so we're getting some of that stuff kind of cleaned up, and some of these condensation heaters in our lift stations functioning again, so we're kind of, going through our winter checklist on all of our, assets out in the field. We did spend not a lot of time, but we worked a lot with the Parks Department on kind of getting all these park shelters kind of blown out and winterized as well. We were able to bring some ideas, and we're utilizing our existing large trailer air compressor now to make that a little more streamlined. So that was kind of a fun thing to kind of help them guys out and kind of help them with that. I guess that's about it. Obviously, the other big thing is Brian's very last utility commission meeting today, which hopefully he has a couple things to say as well.
I just left it open for comments. Last day is tomorrow, or actually, I'm sorry, Friday.
You're staying till the last minute.
I am. I know JJ's, I'm trying to, getting everything documented. I'm trying to make the process as smooth as possible for everybody. I was allowed to create a team here that is going to be very successful moving forward in the future. That doesn't happen without administration support. JJ and Matt have been overwhelmingly supportive in looking at that aspect and moving forward, and creating a succession plan is so important in our field. We were fortunate enough to bring John here. Very quickly showed his abilities and what he's able to do for the community. Bringing along with him, we did Dave Uris as our utility tech. Very knowledgeable. They will both be a very big part of the SCADA upgrade and the phasing in of that. So you're in very good hands. It wasn't an easy decision for sure. A lot of things went into it, but it was easier knowing that John's here to kind of keep this ship moving in the right direction. And I know he's very quickly impressed JJ too. So it's a very good team here, and it's sad to be leaving, but we made some really good changes, needed changes to move us forward in the right direction. And I know John's going to do a great job moving forward. So thank you.
I want to thank Brian for his service, and good luck in the future. And John, welcome. I call a lot, so. All right, any other things to say to Brian?
Well, I was gonna, but John beat me to it, and then you doubled down. I appreciate the nice things Brian said about administration here, so we'll just leave it at that. No, he accomplished an awful lot, and you don't, this commission's not even aware of all the good things Brian was part of in a very short time, but, he had a really, really positive impact on the village, and it'd shoot less than 2 years, so I really appreciate him staying with us as long as he did, and I will echo that, yeah, I'd be a nervous wreck if he hadn't been able to steal John away too, but I think we are in really good hands. I'll sleep just fine at night knowing that we're taken care of. So yeah, thank you, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks to you both. Number 8, approve vouchers. I'll make a motion to approve $88,251.10. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No one abstaining. Number 9, approve the minutes for the September 19th, 2023 Utility Commission meeting. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 9/19/23.
Okay, thank you as always, Kristen, and.
I'll second that.
A second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No one abstaining. Next meeting, let's tentatively say December 13th. I know we haven't had a lot of December meetings, but let's book it, so to speak. And then again, if Strand is ready or something like that, we can certainly have a brief one during the holidays. So December 13th, 5 PM, here at the Village Hall. And number 11, future agenda items. Anyone have anything? Okay. So I'd like a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. We got it done, John.
Recording stopped.
Whoops. Hot mic.